Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we're going to be playing a Dealer's Choice video courtesy of Darth Patiens from my Discord. Alright, so for those of you who play Modern, you're probably familiar with Glimpse of Tomorrow combo. Essentially, this is a suspend 3 card that sometimes gets cheated into play via a Cascade card. And when this thing resolves, you shuffle all the permanents you own into your library, reveal that many cards, and put all the non-aura permanent cards revealed this way onto the battlefield. And then you can put the auras too. So essentially, you shuffle up all your stuff, and you get new stuff. Now, how does this win exactly? Well, many of the permanents in this deck actually produce a second permanent. We are going to use things like Colony Garden, Wave Sifter, which investigates twice, and Seasoned Pyromancer to make a bunch of tokens. We are then going to rattle one of these off. When this happens, all our lands are going to, we're going to get a bunch of new lands, right? Those lands are going to enter the battlefield, and perhaps lands entering the battlefield all at the same time might do some really interesting things, huh? With either Felidar Retreat or newfound legacy staple, Scute Swarm. Since all these lands are entering untapped, you can then cast some spells, right? So, let's say you have a Violent Outburst and a Shardless Agent or something like that. You can float a bunch of mana, cast one of these, a bunch of lands enter untapped, you can cast the other, and you can kind of keep your value engine going. And there's kind of some cute interactions here, such as getting a Goblin Dark Dwellers into play, which you can then use to cast your Glimpse of Tomorrow again. So this is some really neat deck building. But to make sure we're generating these multiple permanents, sometimes we are going to be playing some cards that are, most certainly under the power level curve for Legacy, with Wood Elves probably being the best exception of that. But again, if we really want to take advantage of Scute Swarm and the Felidar Retreats, we want this effect. This list comes from a small Japanese event at Hareuya. We'll kind of see how it performs. I played against this the other day, which is why I wanted to try it out. The list, in theory, looks super sweet. And because we only can have this as our Cascade target if we want to kind of consistently combo, we do have to not run a lot of early plays, right? A lot of times our early plays are going to involve a tapped land or using Wave Sifter. Otherwise, it's these pitch cards like Fury and Endurance that are going to allow us to run interaction that doesn't actually get in the way of our Cascade spells. As far as the sideboard goes, again, we're trying to play cards that we can cast without necessarily messing up our Cascade. So I think that means, generally speaking, we're going to be a little rougher versus combo than I'd like to be. So, for example, there's no Force of Wills in this deck, despite the fact that we are a blue deck, but we'll kind of see how it plays out in practice. One thing that I want to point out here is that Imperial Recruiter can be a tutor for Shardless Agent, so that's why we're not necessarily on the full playset of Violent Outbursts. It's because we have this to find more Shardless Agent to kind of continue our theoretical loop. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say here. Let's go ahead and jump into the games and see how this ridiculous pile of cards actually does in a Legacy League. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing for a lot more awesome jank. And if you're a regular, please throw me a like before this video begins. That's one of the easiest ways to support me for free. If you're in the financial position to support me and you find yourself regularly watching my content, please consider becoming a YouTube member, a subscriber on Patreon, or doing a donation deck list to get one of your own sweet decks on the channel. Let's battle. All right. Opening hand is probably pretty good. I'm going to keep it. Kind of the question here is, how am I going to go about playing this? Because I can just suspend a Glimpse of Tomorrow on turn 1 if I would like. I can do a turn 2 Shardless Agent, but I won't actually produce that many permanents. So I think I'm going to go kind of for the slow roll here. Suspend a Glimpse of Nature and kind of see where that takes me. I don't think I want to show this land yet. The blue source needs to be protected. It's also possible I'm supposed to just wait a turn. Let's get this going. All right. I have committed to a line. We'll kind of see how it goes. I'd like to draw like a colony garden or the wave sifter for next turn. All right, what you got going on over there? Blue cards. You can fight back. My opponent's a slow controlling blue deck. Getting this in play will be a major pain in the butt for them. This card legitimately used to see Legacy play as a sideboard option. Even a main deck option in a couple of specific events. Another Shardless Agent. All right, we'll just kind of roll the dice next turn. Shardless Agent, kind of force my opponent to counter that, and then hopefully resolve Glimpse or maybe Shardless Agent the following turn. Okay, sure. We're just hanging out, just chilling. And let's go get our blue source, hopefully not randomly get stifled. All right, didn't randomly get stifled. It has to be Trop or Volk. I guess I have red already. I don't have green already. Trop is fine. Here we go, folks. Lots of weird shit can happen here. I might end up losing my lands by doing this, but I might end up with a lot cooler shit by doing this too. Let's go. Okay, this is going to be good enough to get a Force of Will pitching a Brainstorm. But I can try 2 more times next turn. We're probably playing against a blue combo deck. Like, I'm getting like High Tide or maybe Show and Tell vibes here. If this gets countered, I don't think I'm supposed to actually float my mana here so that I can Shardless Agent in my main phase. So, let the record show I did not forget to tap my mana. I am intentionally not tapping it. I think I am about to eat Plateau? The strange looking Jeskai control list. Okay. Alright, so I cast this, and that timing feels like Force of Negation, maybe? That is a Force of Negation. Okay, so with Pitch Casting Fury, there's no way that does what I want, right? Yeah, because I can't do this at instant speed. I'm going to go ahead and take my attack for 2. There's some very niche worlds in which we go absolutely wild and we get the anger into the graveyard, and it's not actually correct to make this attack. But given the resources that I have, I think I'm fine with this. All right. So let's glimpse. This time it's different. Hell yeah. All right. I'll nuke my opponent's graveyard in case that's relevant. I didn't hit any lands, so that's awkward for me. Got 1 glimpse left in deck. Guess I'll grab a Shardless Agent. Yeah, 0 lands there was a little rough. But I have a very good removal spell and 3, 6, 7, 8, 9 power in play. I have a 2-turn clock with the ability to get my opponent's blockers out of the way. Short of something like a Supreme Verdict, I'm probably okay. Okay. I mean, that's very killable. Do I take a pre-combat, or sorry, pre-Fury attack? I don't think so. Fury, pitch, Dark Dwellers here. Keep the other Fury so that I can do this again if it doesn't work. Nice. And 4 damage at the Mentor. Who needs lands? Whack. Alright, so need to dodge a sweeper this turn. Otherwise, I think I'm good. And I think that Ponder means that a sweeper is not realistic anymore. Well, that was no shuffle, so they found something they liked. I guess they're not dead to an attack if they have a removal spell. Let's send them. Okay, yep. There's the removal spell. So this is going to take fetching off the table for my opponent. It also takes Force of Will off the table for my opponent. So good position. Again, like sweepers, maybe Snapcaster plus removal spell and something else. Like, it takes a lot for my opponent to get out of that. So I guess it's mostly going to be like counter spells that I have to worry about. And it feels like I did a pretty good job of just overpowering those. Like, between the Suspend, the Imperial Recruiters to find Shardless Agent and whatnot, I think I'm going to be okay. This is probably going to be a time of small adjustments rather than big adjustments. Kind of interested in Hull Breacher just as a card. If I'm not real... Well, no, never mind. This is great in a long, grindy game. Seasoned Pyromancer is great in a long, grindy game. I'm not, like, super interested in Wood Elves, but it's going to be one of those things that allows me to kind of keep going. This does put the forest onto the battlefield, not onto the battlefield tapped. And working towards, like, endgame Scute Swarm and Felidar Retreat, like, is pretty reasonable. Getting the Anger into the graveyard for an immediate kill is probably a little tough. I can mess with my opponent's graveyard for Snapcaster Mage. I don't know how good Simian Spirit Guide is. It's an Imperial Recruiter target that sometimes matters, but I don't think this game is about going turbo. But let's maybe cut that and get like another Endurance or a Vendilion Click or something in here. Miss Vendilion Click, man. Like, there's really cool play patterns with that card where you go like end of turn Vendilion Click to kind of check opponent's hand, get your information, like attack with a 3/1 and then do something cool afterwards. So I will need more mana here, but like I have a Glimpse that I can suspend on turn 2. I think I'm totally fine with this hand given that information. I guess suspending the Glimpse is bad versus Teferi specifically. I do have a Fury that could help take that out. I would need another red card. Wonder if I should have boarded in another Fury in anticipation of Teferi. Alright. We're just chilling. Okay, there's my other red card to make me better versus Teferi. That's totally fine. Am a little light on ways to actually produce tokens if I don't hit my third land drop in the next 2 draws. I think I'm like a 21 land deck. Check that. Oh no, I'm way more than that. I'm a 24 land deck. The Colony Gardens were in a different pile. Okay, yeah, sure. Alright. Hull Breacher is a respectable draw. It is not the land that I want, but it's pretty reasonable. So, okay versus Teferi because of Fury. I wouldn't be great versus Teferi plus Force of Will. Yeah, there's that Plateau again, just showing up, clocking in, doing an honest day's work. Good on you, Plateau. Usually don't see much play outside of Painter. Okay, so there is the immediate Teferi. Oh, I guess that isn't actually going to do what I want, huh? Alright. Okay, there is my land. What's my plan here? I guess Hull Breacher better, or is Wood Elves better? Wood Elves might be better so that I can cast some of this stuff. I don't know. Like, elementals that will stay around after Teferi make it more easily that I could pitch cast a Fury. But if this doesn't resolve, it gets much harder for me to find the red card to actually do this. Go ahead and Wood Elves. Like, there's a lot of worlds where my opponent will just, like, ignore this creature. I can get some chip damage in and maybe finish off with Fury. I don't know. That's not true, though, because this plus is up to 6 loyalty. I don't know. Like, my hand's good enough that I maybe don't need to fight. Alright, sorry. Red, red. I don't have blue, blue. I don't have white, white. I would never need white, white. I probably don't need blue, blue. So let's take more green mana, I guess, with Tropical Island. I don't know. Maybe I need to play the Seasoned Pyromancer because that's the thing that pressures the Teferi best, but, like, it's my only red card, and if I lose to, like, a Mentor being played out or something like that this turn, I would feel super bad. Like, I'm most scared of a lot of these scenarios where this card gets countered, so I don't get to do the looting effect. Okay, sure. Alright, yeah, there's just the Teferi plus. That's fine. Alright. So let's give Teferi a love tap. And I think I am okay with just kind of letting that Teferi chill there for a little while and trying to set up for a longer game. Like, the Teferi is annoying. I'll get rid of it eventually. But I think my plan is, like, cast Felidar Retreat into Felidar Retreat and just, like, start trying to play a value-oriented game rather than be an explicit combo deck here. Alright, cool. So this card will spiral very quickly. I will need to hit land drops, and admittedly I don't have any of those right now. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I will take that tempo loss play. I don't think I fire off a Fury on Teferi until after my opponent has thrown out a counterspell of some kind. Like, they have 7 cards in hand. Alright, so in case you're not sure why I've been talking about this, I can only cast spells at a time that I could cast a sorcery, so we're just going to go ahead and let this one go. And we see that kind of hanging out in exile here. So since I have 2 of these, I think I am fine with offering one up to the counterspell gods here. Okay, as kind of expected, there is a Force of Negation. That's fine. Do I care enough about the Teferi to try and kill it this turn with Fury? Right now, the answer is no. Like, I can hardcast a Fury next turn. Yeah, I think I'm into that. So let's poke this Teferi again, and I think I'm supposed to intentionally miss my land drop. Not 100% sure. There's worlds where I want to play Felidar Retreat and a land drop next turn instead, like, depending on how my opponent taps. This is a bit of a strange deck to pilot. That means something coming from me. Alright, there is a cycled Timeless Dragon. So the Eternalize is a 4/4, so that can still die to a Fury. So if Teferi pluses to 2, I can play Felidar Retreat. If it resolves, I make my land drop have a 2/2 Vigilant Wood Elves that can attack and kill Teferi, and then I can Fury Timeless Dragon out of the way so that that actually works. I think I'm okay with that. Opponent going for their Ponder now rather than later. Alright, no shuffle, so they found something they liked. I guess I can get rid of this zone, too. Okay. So Felidar Retreat gets Force of Negation. Fury does not. My opponent has used 1 Force of Negation already. We got this Timeless Dragon to think about. I think I'm just going to cast a Felidar Retreat. A little awkward if this... Okay, cool. So I think I'm into Windswept Heath, despite the fact that, like, this would be better next turn with other things. There's also a lot of worlds where, like, since I don't have any combo pieces in hand, I'm not supposed to try to kill the Teferi immediately. Not 100% sure. I'm going to go ahead and just make a cat with this first one, and then I can potentially fetch and kill Teferi, and just, like, this being untapped I don't think matters. Alright. Send it at Teferi. Alright, no blocks. Let's go ahead and do that. I don't think it matters too much. I have red, red. I guess I can have white, white for some random reason. Alright. Let's attempt to grow these creatures and see if this Teferi actually dies. Ooh, are you going to Terminus me? Bad if you Terminus me. Okay, no Terminus. Alright. Teferi is dead. Long live the reign of the cats. Like, this card is very expensive by Legacy standards, in terms of mana cost, but, like, for 4 mana, I got a 3/3, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature, and it will continue to scale from there. I believe I'm interested in just attacking. Like, there's some shit going on over there. I think I'm interested in playing Scutes. I think I'm interested in playing a Hull Breacher in instant speed in response to a Brainstorm. Okay. Opponent is just done with me. That's fine. Like, I'm very far ahead here if they don't have, like, Brainstorm Indeterminus or something like that. Like, this is going to just overrun them. So, like, that's totally fair. Sort of a weird concession to me. Like, opponent has Timeless Dragon still and 7 cards in hand. But, okay. Like, value your time. Okay. So, I've got another one of these hands where I can just quickly suspend a glimpse. I'm going to double check, make sure I have mountains. Okay, I do have mountains. I think I keep this. Like, I get to spin the wheel a couple of times. I'm noticing that I'm a little lighter than I would like to be on ways to actually get early permanents into play. Like, it's Colony Gardens and Wave Sifters prior to 3 mana. Maybe I'm not mulliganing aggressively enough. Or maybe Wood Elves is just too cute and shouldn't be in the deck. Like, it's like super cool with Felidar Retreat though. Alright, this is pretty much always getting me a mountain. I'm just gonna play this. I just want to play out a fetch land in case I need to, like, fetch something in response to a Blood Moon. Alright, so we're playing against another blue deck here. Probably take a turn or so for us to figure out which one. Yeah, so the reason to not want to play out a fetch land is because of Felidar Retreat, but like with other fetch lands in hand, I think I'm good with it, and I really didn't want to get wastelanded in the first turn cycle. I think I just always want to suspend turn 2 Glimpse. So, let's do that. And we'll see if we're playing against good old blue-red Delver, everyone's favorite legacy deck. I don't think I'm super interested in casting a Shardless Agent right now. I don't know. Alright, my opponent made that decision for me. The answer was no. God, now I'm pretty interested in it. Basic Forest this turn. Guess is fine. And this gets me a blue source of some kind next turn. I wish I had the ability to get a basic island, because I think it's pretty likely that my Shardless Agent gets countered. Alright, you tick down. I mean, this allows me to not use the fetch land this turn, which I'm into. And I am totally fine just throwing the first one of these into a counterspell, because while it's pretty likely that the Cascade spell gets countered, the Shardless Agent itself will probably resolve, meaning that I have a 2/2 in play for the glimpses that I am going to cast next turn. Oh! Alright. I think I want an elemental badly enough to go ahead and discard a Shardless Agent, as awkward as that is. I think I'm into that. Yeah, and then I'll just keep color fixing as best as possible. Yeah, because I have draws like this that are going to be awkward. Alright, I have a bunch of critters in play. 5 to activate, yes. Okay, we're seeing more movement. Okay, they're just going to try to lightning bolt down the old team. Make the next glimpse a little bit worse. This is all fine. One more lightning bolt, I think, starts to get me a little worried. Mishra's Bauble is whatever. This is fine. Alright, so you get your card. Is there anything that I could cast with the mana that I have? Not really. I'm going to go ahead and float one here. And I'll see if this gets countered. Okay. I will pay for the days. You have another days. You have another days. That's fine. I'll probably just play out a land and attack for a little bit of damage this turn. My situation is not particularly good here. It is what it is, but I think my opponent's probably going to get to 2 lands, play a Murktide Regent, and I'll be pretty far behind. We'll see. Like, I can draw an Endurance or something. That's a respectable draw. I think I'm willing to play that into the 3rd days. Like, I would be unhappy if it got countered. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. My opponent has found 3 of their lightning bolts, meaning my permanent count here is much lower than I would like it to be. I'll hold the white source in my hand in case I draw Felidar Retreat, I think. So let's go Valk. This is going to be Trop, I think. Or it can be Basic Forest, I guess. I don't really need blue. Yeah, I guess it can be Basic Forest. Alright, let's attempt Recruiter. Alright, they did not have the 3rd days. Making 100% sure that it's not something else. I don't think it's supposed to be Scute Swarm or anything. I think I am into another Shardless Agent. Now, I might not cast the Shardless Agent next turn. I could probably cast it if my opponent plays like Murktide Regent and I'm under a lot of pressure. But if they don't put me under pressure with a Murktide, I can probably wait. Alright, they put me under pressure with a Murktide. Unfortunately, they haven't used a hard counter like Force of Will yet. So that's not great for me. Alright, so do I want to play around a 3rd days? I don't think so. My opponent didn't have one last turn, and they didn't play a manipulation spell. So I think I'd rather try to make this as good as possible. So let's go ahead. and Colony Garden, and spin the wheel with 7 permanents. Cast my Glimpse, see if they've got a force. Unfortunately, do have a force pitching another Murktide Regent. I unfortunately think that means I've probably lost this one. Like, Murktide Regent dodges my 5 mana removal spell casually. Yeah, life's bad. Now maybe I can just, like, play out Fury as a 3/3 double striker, and, like, that's all fine and good, but I think my opponent just kills me in 2 to 3 turns. They've used a lot of their lightning bolts, so, like, I probably have 2 turns. They can just play a Dragon Rage Channeler or something. Alright, they're just fetching. That might mean another, like, Force of Negation or something is in my future. Endurance, you are late to the party. So I can attack for 2, 3, 4 damage, putting my opponent to 9. Then I can play a Fury, which does threaten lethal. I can also play Endurance as a chump blocker for a Murktide Regent. End of turn Brazen Borrower is also something that kills me. I don't know. Fury threatens to actually kill my opponent next turn, but is a little telegraphed. My mana doesn't work out so that I can, like, Wave Sifter and Endurance. I could hardcast Wave Sifter and use that as a blocker, but that just prolongs the game and gives my opponent more time to, like, cantrip towards the Bolt. No, there's only one of them. I think I'm just in trouble if my opponent has another piece of interaction, just full stop. So I think I'm into the Fury. Not really how I want to use this card. Let's hit that Murktide Regent for 4 out of spite. There's also worlds where I could just get 2 1/1s and try to increase my count. Alright, yep. That's what I talked about. So Endurance is better versus that line. Alright. Endurance kind of came at an awkward time there. More copies of that would be nice. So I think I'm into Endurance. I think I'm just going to cut Anger every round. I don't think I like that card. I think that card's too cute. What's going down? Are some Wood Elves going down? Oh, things that give me extra mana so that soft permission aren't good are really nice. Furies are good versus, like, the Dragon Rage Channelers and Delvers and maybe Ledger Shredders. Brazen Borrowers feel playable. So Imperial Recruiter. Tutor is based on power, unfortunately, not toughness, so that's not tutorable. Say Scute Swarm is kind of cute here. Go down maybe one of these. That gets my Endurances in, which are the most important cards, and then I'm unsure on some of this other stuff in this corner here. Part of me wants to cut Felidar Retreat, but it's just, like, one of my best things to spin the wheel into, I think. Is this a keep? It just has plenty of mana and stuff to cast. I think I'm into it. I'm just, like, very unsure about, like, whether or not I can actually cast a turn 3 Shardless Agent in this matchup, because, like, if it takes me off my lands, that's super awkward for me. But it also can do some really stupid stuff. Alright, so my opponent has their best opening here. Imperial Recruiter is kind of whatever. I'll play that next turn rather than Shardless Agent, I think. I'm going to just take a second to think about whether or not I want to just 2-for-1 myself and Fury that creature. I kind of want to do that because of how scared I am of Murktide Regent, because that card is just very difficult for my deck to beat. I think given my number of land drops, I am okay with this. Like, I'm super stoked if this eats a Force of Will. Like, the 2-for-1 is great for me, so that one of these 2 cards is more likely to resolve. Alright, it is ultimately good enough for the Force of Will. So, like, I am totally fine with that 2-for-1. Or, sorry, it's not a 2-for-1. Like, we traded cards evenly there. We both played a pitch card. Alright, so now my opponent gets to dig deep, so I can very much be facing down Murktide Regent next turn, which isn't great. We'll see whether or not I want to play Shardless Agent next turn. Like, I'd really like to cast Felidar Retreat first. But I may or may not actually have that luxury. I'm not sure yet. Alright, I'm at 19. I'll absolutely play this first. Mana's a little awkward this turn. I'm going to confirm that I have a basic island. I do have a basic island. This is basic island Taiga seasoned pyromancer. Treating this as a bait spell. I don't super actually want this to resolve. The looting is a little awkward for me. There is my basic island. Oh, wrong card. So this is my bait card here. I don't know what I'm doing if this resolves. Okay, good. I don't have to think about it. Like, the Felidar Retreat is somewhat valuable to me. So I think I'm into playing Felidar Retreat prior to Shardless Agent. It's tough, though, because, like, my opponent has a very respectable clock, and I could face down Murktide this turn as well. I'm obviously playing against a fair and balanced Legacy deck. Any comments to the contrary would be ridiculous. And now I think I just have to spin the wheel with Shardless Agent this turn. Like, this is 6, 9, 10 damage already. Lightning Bolt just kills me. I think I need this permanent in play, but I don't think I fetch. I spin the wheel, and it has to be great. So here's my glimpse. Cool. That was a very powerful glimpse. Yeah. This is awful. I'll grab Trop since it casts Shardless Agent. A Wasteland already takes me off of Shardless Agent next turn. That was not great for me. So if my opponent gets the 4th card type into the graveyard here by finding like a fetch land or a bauble, I just die the 12 damage in the air. That's disappointing. Like, we're on just months and months and months of blue-red Delver supremacy, and I hate it. Alright, so my hand isn't really good, but it actually can make some bonus permanents. I'm going to try keeping this hand. Like, I don't think this hand is good. Full stop. But I have never actually had a hand that, like, starts with ways to get ahead on permanents, so I think I'm just going to try to keep this and see how this feels. My opponent has been grinding with a bunch of, like, prison-y lock decks, and, like, if I just have this much mana, I'm not super worried about, like, the, like, Chalice type stuff. On 0 is a little harder, but, like, I've got Felidar Retreat. I've got more other Felidar Retreat as well. Yeah, so, like, we'll chill, and I will just work towards winning this game with a very large board. Goblin? Go on. So this is probably a Turbo Muxus deck list, if I were to guess. Yep, there is the Muxus. Hello. Hello, Felidar Retreat. Okay, how do I feel about playing Wood Elves? Like, is it actually good to do that, or is it a mistake to do that? Playing Wood Elves makes it easier to play Felidar Retreats if I get Wastelanded, and I still have 2 more fetch lands in hand. That's fine. Get Savannah as my white source, so I can get blue with this. Alright, there's Wood Elves. There's Savannah. Now I can be looking at playing Felidar Retreat into a fetch land in one way or another. And then play another Felidar Retreat. Alright. I can potentially be facing down a decent amount of mana here. And this is all fine. I think this is supposed to attack. Yeah, I won't trade. I am about to do my own gross things. Ooh, that's very good if I can get another red card before my opponent kills me with Muxus. Alright, Felidar Retreat. I think I just want to make Ats this turn. Oh, there's also worlds where I was just supposed to play Fury and wipe this and not get caught up in the value. Like, I want to pitch cast this to continue doing Felidar Retreat nonsense. Alright. Let's make a 2-2. Additional blockers might be nice if Muxus happens. Muxus has to happen off, like, another Ancient Tomb or, like, a Skark Prospector or something. Okay, that is unfortunate and may punish me for not playing out the Fury as a hard cast option. See how bad it is? Honestly, not that bad. Okay, yeah, that can kill my plant. That's fine. If my opponent takes any attacks here, or if they just kind of wait till next turn. Okay, they're gonna wait, which means I can wait on this fetch land. I'd like to draw a red card. Oh, baby, yeah. I think I'm into playing this out, playing a fetch land, make a bunch of 2/2s that can instantly grow. No trample, right? No trample? No trample. Alright, let's pitch cast a Fury, deal the 4 damage to the Muxus, just get rid of that. I think I'm into making these creatures larger. Go ahead and fetch. I need access to red. Let's do this with Taiga. Go wide here with this first one. And then make them bigger with the second one. I just want a blue source of some kind. And let's make them big. And I'm fine crashing in with these. These do have vigilance. All right. Good stuff. Opponent just taking the damage. Rationalizing that some sort of Muxus-based line is the line that beats them. Okay, that was an impressive Felidar Retreat-based line. Happy with keeping the hand. Like, the fact that I kind of know the sort of decks that my opponent has been playing, like, gave me that information that, like, this card was going to be good. Okay, so removal is going to be good. I conceptually like Fury. I'm maybe conceptually interested in Foundation Breaker. Like, my opponent has Chalices. I only sort of care, as that game showed. I'm interested in swapping Fury for Anger as my starting point. And then it's just a question of, like, do I want a couple of Foundation Breakers? Do I want a couple of Boseijus? The Endurance is not super necessary. Like, Endurance is just a 3/4. Which is, like, fine. Like, that's a blocker. But I'm pretty okay in the blocker category. I think I'm interested in getting rid of this and just playing one more land. Like, this is also a removal spell for Chalice. I guess next up, like, am I still interested in Simian Spirit Guide? I think I'm interested in that. I want this other Boseiju in here, I think. I don't know. Like, ramping my opponent is not great. And I also don't know that my opponent mulligans to Chalice. Like, I'm a Glimpse deck, but, like, they just saw me beat them to death with big dumb shit, so... Mention there. I think I'm gonna get rid of the Goblin Dark Dwellers and just play one more land. Like, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be mana heavier than normal. But, like, that plays into just, like, Felidar Retreat and fair Imperial Recruiter lines and stuff like that. Not sure on Foundation Breaker. Maybe Foundation Breaker is just better than Boseiju, like, since it's hard castable later on and can be more effectively hit off the Glimpse when the Glimpse actually does happen. Hand's pretty medium looking. I have a Felidar Retreat, which is very good. I can potentially Shardless Agent relatively quickly. Not sure how interested I am in this hand, though. I think I'm just going to ship this one. I think I find something similar most of the time. Yeah, this is fine. I'll probably just throw back my basic here. My opponent's deck list probably can't afford to play Wastelands. Like, they have a bunch of colorless producing lands already. Okay. So they are going the Chalice-based route. That's fine. I've got some fair stuff here that can help deal with that. Let's just play the Bulk. I want to... Wow. Okay, I was gonna say, like, did you seriously keep a 1-land Chalice hand? That doesn't feel great. Alright. So, I can do some Wood Elves nonsense. I will have to do a quick check-in. Okay. Opponent's deck can't afford Wasteland. They'll stand by that. Doesn't actually really stop me at doing my stuff. I want the Foundation Breakers now that I know about those. You're tutorable, right? Yeah, you are tutorable. What am I Imperial Recruitering for if I Imperial Recruiter just Seasoned Pyromancer? Seems pretty good. I don't really need to accelerate, right? Yeah, I don't think so. Alright. So... Oh, there's also Scute Swarm, actually. Scute Swarm works pretty well with these Wood Elves. Okay, let's do that. This is a weird game of Magic. I'm so here for this. Alright, so there is a fourth thing, a Goblin Rabble Master. That's reasonable. At some point, like, I will probably stop caring about this card. Some point is just immediately, I guess. So let's just Scute Swarm. Fine with playing this. Let's just always yield to that. I'm fine with the hard cast, or sorry, the pitch cast Fury here. Exiling this. 3 damage, 1 damage. Totally fine. I'll go ahead and clear the board here. A respectable 19 life from my opponent, and then I'll just like Wood Elves into like Scute Swarm Supremacy. Little buddy can take over the game. Now, opponent played that out as a land, notably, rather than using that for other purposes. So I might have to worry about a Muxus next turn, which is very good. All right, so I'll grab a Taiga, do the Scute Swarm thing. Fine with exposing Scute Swarm to a second Sokenzin. Like, that's fine. I'm much more worried about just 6 land drop Muxus. Okay, that is what's happening. I've got a Fury that can help clean up, but we'll see how bad this is. Pretty bad, because that just finds another Muxus. A Gem Palm Incinerator. Sure. Alright, so my opponent gets a Rabble Master token. I think I'm fine just trading with that. And keeping my life total as high as possible. So I can't double Wood Elves this turn, which probably means that I'm supposed to just cast the Fury. So I do Colony Garden, which gets me a copy of Scute Swarm, which is really good. Getting rid of this Muxus is really awkward if my opponent has another. But it's still probably my line. Alright, there's Fury. I think I'm good with this. Not outright thrilled or anything, but I think I'm okay with it. So, we'll see if my opponent just has another Muxus. Alright, so my Fury goes bye-bye, making my blocks worse versus Rabble Master. I am fine with this so far. Alright, Rabble Master token occurs. Alright, Goblin Pile Driver gets big. I think I am fine attempting to trade away the non-Scute Swarm bodies. Scute Swarms are just too valuable right now. Alright. Looks like I am successfully trading. And now hopefully I just kind of take over the game with a Wood Elves. Alright, the Shardless Agent is not great. Pretty difficult to cast right now, but this should spiral. Alright, so there is a Trop for more copies of Scute Swarm. And my attacks aren't great. But this is snowballing. Alright, Rabble Master is kind of whatever here. I'm okay with a trade. I don't care about the Wood Elves body, really. I think I'm okay with a trade. I've just got another one. I just don't want my opponent's Goblin count to become too high. For, like, Goblin Pile Driver type reasons. Hey! Speaking of... Alright, I cannot evoke this. It means I just continue on the Wood Elves lines. Now making 4 Scute Swarms. I think I'm just good here. I don't need to throw any of these into random attackers. Alright. Yeah, I am fine with getting rid of a Scute Swarm. Get rid of a Pile Driver. I think I just wait a turn on these Goblin tokens. This time around. I think I'm willing to just take the 2. It's like every land drop is just so many Scute Swarms at this point. Alright, I trade these. Yeah, Lackey is whatever. That'll be very good if I can ever cast it, but I only have red and green mana currently. Yeah, all it would take is 1 land drop, 1/1/1 counter on these creatures, I think puts me very far ahead. Alright. Matron's very good. That represents Muxus next turn. My opponent randomly has Goblin Chain Whirler. That would be a problem, but I do not expect that from the Ancient Tomb deck. A Goblin Chieftain. Yeah, absolutely. That definitely breaks combat in favor of my opponent here. And definitely makes me regret not trading last turn. Alright. Not a good situation for me. This is a lot of damage. So I think I have to trade with this Chieftain. Can't really let Goblin Lackey hit. I also just need... I need to keep some number of these things around. Maybe I let Goblin Lackey hit. Like, if my opponent could have Muxus, they would have already done so. So much damage. Maybe I just do a chump there. 2, 4. I do a chump. Raid here. Keep 2. 2 might be able to spiral enough defensively for me to kind of stay in things. Maybe I'm just supposed to chump block another time, though. The glimpse is not great. These aren't castable. I've fallen enough behind here where I think I'm just comfortable conceding. Things just didn't quite come together. Now I know that I need Foundation Breaker. Cool game, though. Alright, so I need this. How do I fit these in? Are these coming in place of the Boseijus that I boarded in as additional lands? I can see it. I would be increasing my density of removal spells. I think I can cut Spirit Guide. This is going to be a grind a lot of the time. And I'm not super interested in just kind of turboing into Shardless Agent Glimpse on the play. And I could go down like one Wave Sifter. That was something that just got stuck in my hand. Could be Wood Elves too. Like, despite how good Wood Elves was that specific game. I could also go down one Glimpse. Like, I don't really want to draw it, and I don't think I need 4 copies of it. Yeah, let's do that. This hand has no basics and cannot cast Wave Sifter. Fury is cool and all. I don't think it's this cool. Double Colony Garden is pretty cool, but I'm going to go ahead and ship this one. This is a much better hand. I'm going to keep this. The Glimpse of Tomorrow that's in my hand isn't actually super great. I'm going to go ahead and just send that back. I am not intending on playing anything on turn 2. I'm just going to play Prismatic Vista out early on the off chance that my opponent has an Ancient Tomb, Simian Spirit Guide, Blood Moon opening hand. Very unlikely, but I can play around it. Okay, I've got a Colony Garden that can chump block this in the short term, which I probably have to do. Mana's now a little bit awkward. It's harder to go red for Seasoned Pyromancer and still be playing around Blood Moon. So not the biggest fan of what's going on here, but I can hopefully just trade or, offer a trade of block. Okay. That's not good. This is very good, just not quite yet. Do I have 2 basic mountains? I do have 2 basic mountains. No, folks, this is awkward. This is awkward, but I think I have to do this. It makes me so much worse versus a Blood Moon. But I think I'm into this. I definitely do this. I think I do this. Oh, yeah, that's good. All right, hopefully my opponent has kept a Goblin Lackey-centric hand, and I have, put myself in a situation where I have walled those. Imperial Recruiter might be better than Scute Swarm for my keep on the previous turn. Yep. Yep, I played around Goblin Lackey getting a hit in. I knew that I knew that was something that could occur. But hopefully we can just win this by going wide and or tall of my opponent. The Vigilance will be insane. I don't think I take an attack for 2 here. Okay, that's obviously very good. I cannot let the Goblin Lackeys get hits in. Oh, I don't know that I actually like that attack from my opponent, actually. I think that's actually quite bad. So I go block, 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 and minus some fuckery of some kind. I just clear my opponent's board. Yep. That, kind of feels like a misplay to me. I'm just going to make 2 2s here. Now, I can't cast these cards that are in my hand, but I do have Seasoned Pyromancer as something coming up in the not-too-distant future. Pile drivers, whatever. Foundation Breaker. Probably on Blood Moon. Then my fetch lands become live. Ooh. Oh, right. Blood Moon is a thing. Am I attacking with both of these this turn? Yeah, I'm probably the beatdown. I'll send these, and I'll make my tokens. Opponent's at 16. I'll go ahead and do this. All my lands are extremely powerful here. That's a good combination. I'll need to hold some stuff back. Am I okay trading? Actually, I might just want to trade both elemental tokens for this creature. I'm fine with that. Let's just not mess around with that in the future. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is why I, like, really didn't want to get red earlier in this game. But I think stopping those lackeys really got my opponent stuck. So I think I'm just chilling. Like, every land represents a giant power swing. These goblin tokens have to attack each turn if able. I think I'm okay. If my opponent wants to send in the... Nope. Alright, so they are just going to go ahead and offer those up. That's fine. I think I'm good until my opponent gets to 6 mana. Oh, this is going to be nuts. Back with both, probably. Actually, I should have waited till after the Seasoned Pyromancer. I regret that immediately. Alright, opponent goes to 12, because I could have given these things Vigilance, potentially. Alright, there's a Seasoned Pyromancer. I'll discard 2 cards, yeah. That's real good, though. Alright, let's put a +1 on the stack, and let's put another... Okay, yeah, that's good enough for my opponent. GG's, yeah. So my mana would have opened up, and potentially my combo finish would have opened up as well. Alright. Stop the trophy leader from potentially getting another trophy. Keeping the fight fair. Delthar is absolutely crushing it in the trophy race, by the way. GG's. Hey, you. Do you have a business or product that you'd like to promote? Would you like, say, a certain legacy YouTuber to do that for you? You want to get 10,000 plus eyes on your product? Consider shooting me a message. My contact information is available in every video description. And for everyone else, did you like and comment on the video? It helps out a lot. All right, back to the content. All right, we're looking at a no-lander here. Don't need to think very much about this one. I've got a one-lander here. I think second verse, same as the first. Ah, Jack, you have 24 lands. You're doing me dirty. This doesn't work towards casting a glimpse, since my only land is Colony Garden. I don't think this is capable. This is easily the best hand so far. Easily. So, you go back. You go back. Probably you go back. And, like, I have a turn 3 Shardless Agent. It's not necessarily game-winning, but given that I'm on 4 cards, like, I am absolutely rolling the dice on whatever. Okay, Plains is legit. Could be 60-card D&T, could be Hammer Time, 60-card D&T. I'm going to imagine that I just end up going bigger than this deck, but their mana denial could totally pinch me in the short term. Thalia would be annoying. Thalia happens. I can't just, like, Shardless Agent next turn into Cool Spell. I'll have an Imperial Recruiter that I can do, so, like, that'll be worth something. But, like, Wasteland Port and Thalia are all very good against me in this mulligan situation. Okay, cool. Not cool. Alright, so I get to Recruiter for something this turn. And if I draw a land, I can Shardless Agent into hopefully something broken next turn. Felidar Retreat is a very good thing to have in the long term. I have to get red. Do I have a plateau? I don't think I have a plateau. Oh shit, I do have a plateau. Getting plateau is really awkward in some ways because of Rishadenport. But I think I just need access to all of my colors, and we will leave it up to my opponent to deduce what fucking colors they are supposed to port me off of. What are we getting, Recruiter? Spirit Guide? Spirit Guide's totally reasonable. Let's do that. This whole Thalia port thing will be very awkward for me if my opponent commits to it. A follow-up Wasteland would also be very bad for me. Alright, so as expected, I'm going to take 2 here. Or not, or yes. I'm so good if you don't attack and you just give me more time to make land drops. I have a 1/1 in play. Like, get in there. Alright, now I'm at 17. Or Labyrinth, totally fine. That doesn't really do anything to my deck, I don't think. I guess I have some clues. All right, am I going now? I'll be flipping 5 permanents. Like, if my opponent wises up and just, like, ports me, all my lines are so much worse. All right. So, let's do the thing. Cast the Glimpse. Paying the 1 here. Yeah. Yep. I stacked this wrong. Can I undo that? No, I can't undo that. That's okay. I guess let's just make a whole bunch of 2/2s with this wave. And then start growing them later. Alright, don't have the proper colors to Wave Sifter right now. But every land drop here is just absolutely disgusting for me. And once I'm past 2 toughness on all these creatures, my attacks become very good. Skyclave is fine. Like, you can take out my endurance. That's pretty good for you. Okay, or that. Yeah, that's totally fine as well. Well, that punishes me a little bit for not taking 1+1/+1 counter. I don't know that that's going to really end up mattering. Do I want to take any attacks this turn? I don't know that I'm really in a rush here. Like, I'll just get another Felidar in retreat, grow these things, start attacking with vigilance. Or I can start hitting in the air. Like, my opponent doesn't have Yorion to, like, blank Skyclave and answer this second one cleanly. This needs to be blue mana. Yeah, and we'll just chill. A little awkward that I'll have to, like, play a land drop prior to playing Felidar Retreat, but kind of whatever. Yeah, another mom's actually pretty good. Yep, okay. But we're just mostly gonna stare at each other for a little while. I mean, surely I do this, right? With this many permanents. Leave like a red floating, maybe. I don't know, I can leave a white floating to have a better chance at Felidar Retreat. Or wait, no, I'm not leaving anything floating. I floated my extra mana for Thalia. Alright. Glimpse. Lol. Okay. Oh, that's 2 Furies? Alright. 1, 1, 1, 1 for that one. Then I need to kill Skyclave and Mom with the other one. I think it's this Mom. You know what? Let's throw another bit of damage at the active Mom. Okay. A Wave Sifter. Put +1 counter on here. How many actual creatures do I have? 5? 5. Let's do 2 +1 counters. 2/2, 2/2, 2/2. Seasoned Pyromancer. I am willing to discard just Wave Sifter. Oh no, that is not optional. So the Spirit of the Labyrinth actually prevents me from doing some amount of cool shit here. Alright, so a Fury happens, I get another critter. A Fury happens, I get another critter. I have nothing that can attack this turn. Alright, yeah. Yeah, pretty good turn. Pretty good turn. I don't know my opponent's hand. But I wonder if they played that game incorrectly. Because, like, from my side of the battlefield, if they were shot and ported me and just attacked me with Thalia a bunch of times, that game was much harder for me than it was otherwise. I'm 100% interested in Fury. Cutting Anger every round. Deafening Silence is something that I should be aware of. I don't know how good it is. I might be interested in a copy of Endurance just as a 3/4. I might be interested in a copy or two of Foundation Breaker, just as something that can mess with Ether Vials. I'm not, like, super concerned about Deafening Silence. It's, like, only super good versus Violent Outburst. I want at least one of you. My opponent gonna know about Goblin Dark Dwellers, and then hence want to, port in Rest in Peace. Unsure. Seasoned Pyromancer gets a little bit worse because of, like, Rishadan Ports and Wastelands making red harder and Spirit of the Labyrinth doing some work in other ways. I'm gonna go down at least one of those. Let's maybe cut all of them, actually. Then I'm into some number of these. Endurance as a 3/4 is just good versus the hate pairs, but I think I need a certain number of Foundation Breakers just to, like, disrupt Aether Vial starts. Like, I'm gonna have really good inevitability with Felidar Retreat, like we just saw there. This hand does literally nothing exciting. It might still be a keep. Like, it just has access to 3 basic lands. And, like, has a Felidar Retreat. Could be wrong here. Like, my mana could end up being awkward. Like, because I have so many basics. But I think I'm good with this. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. This is just going to be a wooded foothills and pass for me, I think, to remain as flexible as possible. I don't know if this represents, like, mountain, forest, or a dual land yet. Okay. Wow. Sure. Kind of foresee my opponent running out of gas in a lot of worlds here. Ooh. Not really ready for this yet. But it is a nice option. Go ahead and pass the turn, see if we see a Mother of Runes here. We do. Why did my opponent keep their hand? That's what I'm currently wondering. Like, I want to, like, have a Hate Bear on turn 2 versus my deck. Or, like, I want to have a Stoneforge that threatens, like, fast Kaldra. Okay, like, Vial plus Rashadon Port is reasonable. Mana's a touch awkward here against this port. This is fine. So, do I want to expose myself to Wasteland? If I expose myself to Wasteland, I can attempt Violent Outburst in my opponent's... Or, sorry, in my next upkeep. I don't think I need to play that fast. Like, I am technically under 0 pressure right now. I think I'm just gonna, like, remain non-wastelandable. A little awkward if, like, this is Stoneforge for Kaldra. And my opponent also has the 4th mana. Yeah, I don't care about these Mother of Runes, though. Alright, so I imagine we end up with a Vial on 2 and 3. Alright, we do. Okay. Yeah, if opponent is still just doing no damage to me, I'm okay with the world as it is. I can just start working towards mana acceleration of some kind. I'll float a mana here, but I'm not really interested in Violent Outburst. I guess I can't cast it anyway. Arid Mesa. I probably just keep this in hand for flexibility of colors and start fetching dual lands. Just like dual lands are better versus Rashadon Port. Yeah, I think I'm just interested in ramping here. A lot of shit can happen right now. Yeah, I think I'm just interested in ramping. This is getting me a green dual land because of endurance. And then I will get a second green dual land. Make this first one a Taiga. Do my Wood Elves. Probably make the second one a Trop. Savannah's also good because, like, I do want to play Felidar Retreat at some point. Yeah, maybe my blue's not important. I'll grab Savannah. And we'll see. Oh my gosh, my opponent has no 2-drops or 3-drops. Okay. So what's in their hand? Aldra, Batterskull, Swords to Plowshares. Land. Yeah, this probably doesn't go well for my opponent. Probably just, like, play Felidar Retreat this turn, make 2 cats, and then do Violent Outburst shenanigans next turn. Again, I'll float my mana in case something weird happens, but that's a nice treat for later. There are worlds where my opponent can have a Skyclave or something like that. That can attempt to disrupt this. Interested in a cat. And then next turn, I think I go wild, probably in my main phase. I guess there is something like an Aethersworn Canonist that could occur that could be a little awkward for me. Let's fetch End Step in case I end up attacking with some cat tokens. This just needs to be red. I'll make a new cat. Alright. Am I interested in double Violent Outburst right now? I'm not uninterested. I'd rather do this in my main phase where I can pivot into Imperial Recruiter if necessary, but I think I'm good with this. Alright. Green, blue, white, red, green, red. Attempt Violent Outburst. I can pay the white as the other color here. My opponent taps a Vial on 2. I will Violent Outburst again in response. Okay. There is the Glimpse of Tomorrow. Opponent is waiting to pay cost on something. Do they have like a Swords to Plowshares? They do, they're not using it. Okay. That's pretty good. Everybody wants to be a cat. Alright, everything's on the stack. The second Violent Outburst is going to be disgusting after all of these Wave Sifter triggers. Alright. Good stuff. We're going off pretty hard here. Okay, yeah, opponent is just ready to concede. Like, we were going to do this again for an absolutely absurd number. I don't know why my opponent kept their opening hand. Like, they did not play a relevant card the entire game. Like, their hand did nothing to disrupt me, and they didn't really do a great job at, like, Rishadan-porting. Like, maybe they kept, like, I don't know, white land, Rishadan-port, Vile, Mom. But I think that is just a hand that goes back. I don't know. Their draw did not work out for them. Alright, final round here. I think this is a keep. The Colony Garden producing an extra permanent is... Oh, okay. Well, we probably lose game 1. How's our graveyard hate? 4 endurances, right? 4 endurances. Okay. So... I don't think I really win this matchup ever. Like, my interaction is just not at an appropriate level to beat a consistent turn 1/turn 2 combo deck of this nature. So, like, my opponent can just, like, play a couple of rituals here. Yeah. Alright. So, in case you're not familiar with how the Oops All Spell deck works, they mill themselves, which puts a bunch of Narcomoebas into play. Thassa's Oracle is going to be in their graveyard, and then they are going to cast Dread Return, which returns the Thassa's Oracle, and they can do a Cabal Therapy first to kind of check what's going on with my hand, and I am not interested in showing them that. Alright, so do I have anything else that matters other than the 4 endurances? Not really. I guess Boseiju can blow up a land or a piece of artifact mana that's played out, but that's pretty sketch. I want to live the pipe dream of trying to get the anger in this matchup. Maybe. Looks, I guess, technically playable, but not really good. Fencer is technically a counterspell. Again, pretty sketch. Like, am I actually going to live this dream of, like, Seasoned Pyromancer, discard it, put anger in the graveyard, everything has haste? I don't know that I am. I don't think this card should generally be in the deck. Alright, I'm not super interested in this. I think I'm supposed to, like, keep the Felidar Retreats. Like, they're better in grinding matchups, but it's also something that can just vomit a lot of power onto the battlefield if I do Glimpse. Let's get rid of Goblin Dark Dwellers and some number of Furies. Like, that's not really what I'm about here. And I can consider boarding these in, but it's pretty sketch. I don't know. Pretty sketch might be where I'm at. Alright, yeah, pretty sketch might be where I'm at. I don't think this is good enough when they're on the play, though. Let's cut a fetch land. I don't know, maybe this Venser is just totally fucking unreasonable. Like, that's 4 mana versus Oops. Alright, opening hand does not have Endurance in it, hence it is a mulligan. Alright, is the sketchy Boseiju idea a real turn 2 play? Just blow up their first land. Is that fine? My opponent kept on 7. I don't think it's fine. Yes. Keep. I will pitch cards that are not green. Cabal Therapy on Endurance beats the shit out of me. But otherwise, like, I have 2 copies of Endurance, and, like, I do have the thing that lets me actually attempt to win the game. Hard discard? Interesting. Why was your hand a keep, then? You just, like, 1 mana source away from going off, and you just rolled the dice? Alright, not 1 mana source away. But I am bricking here. It'll be bad versus a Cabal Therapy. But opponent is doing stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I see. My opponent kept a Force of Vigor hand, thinking that I would be on ley lines. Reasonable. Who's winning right now? I guess it's me, since I'm, like, still alive, but this doesn't feel great. My opponent's discarded 4 cards, and I've like made up for my mulligan. Discarded a Cabal Therapy. Well, that kind of makes sense. Alright. Am I just rolling the dice and holding 2 Endurances in hand? Or do I want to try to make this better? I think I'm into just rolling the dice and starting to attack my opponent. Not 100% sure here. It's possible. Well, I guess I can't even, like, just hardcast Endurance. My mana doesn't work out for that. Alright, fuck it, let's go! Alright. Let us glimpse the tomorrow. Okay. I mean, I will take out my opponent's graveyard. This is mandatory discard 2. So it'll be Imperial Recruiter and a Wave Sifter. Or actually, maybe a Wood Elves. Alright, Imperial Recruiter, Wood Elves can go away. Take the Therapy and the Bridge out of my opponent's graveyard in case that ends up being relevant. I now have no plays available to me other than Endurance. Hopefully that doesn't matter. I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage. I have a 2-turn clock with double Endurance backing it up. That's pretty good. Again, Cabal Therapy into going off is the thing that beats me here. Okay, they're going for it. Alright, there is your Wild Cantor for mana fixing. Alright, there is the Dark Ritual. 4 mana Spy. Fine. All of those triggers on the stack. We'll go ahead and Endurance my opponent, pitching Cute Swarm. Active Negation is fine. We'll go ahead and Endurance, pitching, I guess, Wave Sifter. We'll do this again. Okay, cool. We get this one. The game on the draw, though, is tough. Opponent also knows that I now have Endurance. So again, I don't really think this Boseiju idea is super great on the draw. I don't know. Again, though, like, we might be in questionable town territory. Oh, I want this other land, I think, for worlds where I have to, like, hardcast Endurance while also fixing my mana for something else. I guess I don't actually need that many copies of Glimpse, right? Like, theoretically, 1 probably wins, like 1 or 2. Awkward if I draw them. Cutting 1 is probably pretty safe. Cutting 2 is probably even safe. Alright, like, do I want a Venser? It's a counterspell. I guess Imperial Recruiter is incredibly slow, right? Alright. Don't really feel great about this. Alright, we're on auto mulligans for Endurance here. Yep, does not have Endurance, is mulligan, unfortunately. This has an Endurance. The rest of the hand's pretty bad, but, like, it has an Endurance, so it becomes a keep. I think both Felidar Retreats come back. I just need those in the deck. It's unfortunate now, because, like, my opponent knows to Cabal Therapy for Endurance, which makes this much harder. Or just Thoughtseize it. I do not expect that I can win this game anymore. Like, it would have to require ripping a new Endurance or land in exactly 2 draw steps. Well, there's 1. Alright, so opponent, you've got the green light. You know my entire hand. If you can go off this turn, you can go off this turn. Reanimate an Endurance. Absolutely. I accept that. If I draw a land, I could Boseiju my opponent's land, like, non-ironically. Yeah, I just have to play this here. Any land means I can Wood Elves. A blue land means that I can attempt Shardless Agent. Oh, yeah, opponent just kept a hand that didn't just lose to an Endurance. Turn's kind of tough. It's like I can just Wood Elves get 2 more, like get 2 more permanents into play and then have a better Shardless Agent next turn. Or I can just gamble now that I beat an Endurance. I think I would like to gamble. Like, on an empty board, I think I would cast it here. I don't think I'm interested in just going for it with 4 permanents here, and then just sticking myself with too many uncastables in my hand. On the off chance that I draw Vendilion Click or Venser, I want this land to be blue, I think. So let's get Trop and call it a turn. And I'll do my thing next turn, and we'll see if I get punished for not playing Shardless Agent last turn. Okay, sure. Alright, that's just tapped. Let's do the thing floating some mana. I'll go ahead and fetch. I have green, blue. I can leave like red floating. What do I want to leave floating? Blue, green, maybe? Grab Valk. Let's go. Green, green, blue, green, blue for the second Shardless Agent that's in my hand, perhaps. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to attack with Wood Elves or not because of Felidar Retreat, so I'm not going to. Alright. Shardless Agent into Glimpse of Tomorrow number 1. Oh, awkward. I'll keep this one. Alright. Let's stack some triggers. Endurance can nuke your graveyard. Venser, I guess, is bouncing your land. No, I guess I should attack with the Wood Elves. Alright. I get to Imperial Recruiter and put something in my hand. I'm just going to Shardless Agent again, so it doesn't matter too much what I get here. I'll just grab another Shardless Agent in case there's worlds where I can just keep going again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 damage, yeah, so I'm interested in continuing going then. I am not yet presenting lethal. And I'll want to leave either a green or a blue floating. I guess I'll leave blue floating. I think that's a little harder. So blue, Shardless Agent, and again, I have 3 glimpses in the deck right now. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. Some Wood Elves nonsense. I didn't hit very many lands here. Oh, actually, Wood Elves is going to give me some untapped stuff. So this is actually going to be fine. I will go again. I'm going to put a Venser in my hand in case I can end up passing the turn with 4 mana available. Not there right now. But I might be after one more card. All right. Blue, green, some color, or did not actually get a green out of that. I'll leave a blue floating here, I believe. Do this last one. I will glimpse, and whatever we get this time is what we get. I'd honestly just like some lands so they can have Venser. 4 lands, 2 of which are blue, is the dream here. Yeah. This works. Recruiter. Click target you. Wave Sifters can go wherever. Wood Elves can go wherever. These can be a couple of +1 counters. And I'll make a few extra cats. And that Colony Garden can go on top. And we have successfully ended this turn with a counterspell available, as well as the ability to kind of pick at my opponent's hand. Let's always yield to Felidar Retreat, huh? Oh, this is considered a separate trigger, so I need to yield to that separately. Oh, yeah, I'll grab a blue land. Lol. I guess Wood Elves' location did matter. All right, we investigate. I Vendilion click my opponent. They have multiple Pact of Negations. They've got a Thassa's Oracle, but nothing that actually matters here. Yeah, I think I just leave them with all of that. Yeah, and then I just Venser. I leave them with... Now, the pact, like, double Pact of Negation already beats Venser, right? So, what beats me? I'm so likely to just get them back into more mana if I try taking a Lotus Petal or an Agadeem's Awakening. But I think they have 8 draws that beat me because of double Pact. I think I just have to accept that. Alright, now I get to Imperial Recruiter. I think I'm just done. Pass with 5 mana available. Grab a Spirit Guide or something, in case that becomes relevant. Alright. Okay, cool. We dodged. Yeah, that's a 4-1 with Glimpse, not of nature, but of tomorrow. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I think there's room for refinement here, but this was much better than I expected, and I still would have been happy if we got the 3-2 after losing to Oops in the final round here. So oddly, I don't know that it was actually the Glimpse of Tomorrows that like won us this league. Like that's obviously the namesake card of this deck, but it was really Felidar Retreat that just murdered my opponents. Like they spent their resources fighting over the glimpses in the early game, and then in the mid to late game, Felidar Retreat, especially in multiples, just came out and absolutely decimated my opponents. This makes me curious if there's actually a legitimate like Felidar Retreat based deck with like maybe Field of the Deads or something like that that just like attacks inevitability from a couple of different directions. This is a card that I'd be interested in playing with a little bit more. Like maybe this is only explosively good in the context of this deck where you can dump in multiple lands at the same time and really go nuts. But we have other decks in Legacy that do that, like the 8 Mulch deck or the Treasure Hunt deck that's built similarly. Um, in terms of other specifics, the Anger feels like a little bit of a pipe dream. Like, it's pretty annoying if you do get it into the graveyard via Seasoned Pyromancer, but I would rather just have another 2-mana play. And that might be one of my bigger complaints about the deck. Like, I want another, like, Wave Sifter or Colony Garden type card that I can play prior to 3 mana. I'm not sure what my options are. I don't know, like, exactly what this deck looks like in Modern. But this was really fun and surprisingly strong. Like, this one gets a thumbs up from me. I enjoyed this a lot. There were some things in the deck that we didn't really do much. Like, I don't think we ever got the Goblin Dark Dwellers to go and return a Glimpse of Tomorrow to try again. But it seemed really good. Maybe we're a little soft to fast combo. But like, if you are looking to play against slow mid-rangey blue decks, having a bunch of copies of Felidar Retreats and Furies that can hit Planeswalkers and just a bunch of annoying value-based cards seems okay. So this one gets a thumbs up, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, click the like button on the way out. It helps out a lot. If you want to mess around with this deck list, as well as all my donation and Patreon information, is available in the video description. Have a great rest of the day. See ya!